Chapter 61. Su Hong's First Battle. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 61. Su Hong's First Battle on the third floor of Cosmos Tower, in the rainforest. Vines grew wantonly in the dark and moist rainforest. Su Jingming held his dual shields and ran through the forest like a phantom. As for the massive tigers, they were equally fast and agile as they roared and pounced at the human, cooperating very naturally. Bang! As Su Jingming dodged, he smashed his shield into the head of a fierce tiger, causing it to stumble and tumble before getting up. Be like fire. With a thought, my body will unleash its might. The shield techniques master taught me are more about control, utilizing the enemy like a chess piece. That works well with the Be-Water realm, Su Jingming thought. I'm different from master. Although I've reached LV3 and have broken through in my evolutionary method, my body is like lightning and fire. I can unleash it with a single thought. Therefore, my spearmanship, shield techniques, and footwork should be something that suits my style. My shield technique shouldn't be about control but a rampage, an ultimate rampage. Rampage. Su Jingming's eyes turned faintly red as he charged forward. A single strike from his shield sent a large tiger flying, and a poke from the edge of the shield caused the tiger to spew blood and suffer heavy injuries. It was obvious that after his evolutionary method broke through, his physique wasn't inferior to these large tigers, and he had the advantage in techniques. As long as the Tiger King didn't make a move, the tigers were good sparring partners. 8 extremities, tiger pounce. Su Jingming directed strength to his feet and took 2 steps forward, his entire body turning into a blur. His shields were like 2 huge tiger claws that collided head-on with the tiger. Bang! Su Jingming stood in his spot despite slamming into the large tiger with his dual shields. His feet sank until the ground reached his knees, but the large tiger was sent flying. After falling, blood foamed from its nose and mouth, and it convulsed slightly before turning still. The force delivered by the 8 extremities tiger pounce is quite smooth, but the force delivered by other moves is a little awkward. Su Jingming looked at his personal combat strength interface, his shield techniques and footwork remained at LV 299%. It was obvious that the virtual world system had determined that his shield technique hadn't reached LV 3. LV3 spearmanship is about unleashing force at will, and every move and stance is executed smoothly. But for shield techniques, only one move can barely be considered smooth. Su Jingming thought to himself. I still have to practice more. If my shield technique can achieve a breakthrough, my control over my body will be even more perfect. Su Jingming understood this and continued fighting the tigers. The massive tigers surrounded the human as they attacked him with their full strength. In the morning, in the courtyard of his house, Su Jingming practiced Heavenly Python evolution in the courtyard. He practiced it 3 times a day in reality, and each time, he only needed to practice at least 1 hour apart. It was still very easy. Whoosh! After practicing once, Su Jingming's entire body turned red as steam rose from him. His lifeblood boiled, and his muscles and bones trembled. His body naturally emitted heat waves as they surged around him. Li Miao Miao ate some buns while her eyes were peeled to a screen. She couldn't help but say, Jingming, your entire body is red from practicing the evolutionary method. I can feel the heat waves even from a few meters away. Nothing happens when I practice the evolutionary method. There will be something when you reach advanced with the evolutionary method, Su Jingming said. He felt as if there was a huge furnace in his body, and the surging heat affected his entire body at a deeper level. I'm only at the beginner level of the evolutionary method, I'm still far from it. Li Miao Miao sighed. Oh right. For the Firestarter Cup's main competition, the opponent we will be facing in the first round is Team 22, Team 1000 Sales. Have you read the information on their team? What do you think? In Team 1000 Sales, only Hao Fan was a national team member back then. The other team members are civilian contestants, and they don't even have an archer, Su Jingming said. It's very rare for such a team to be ranked at number 22. Li Miao Miao nodded. Their team is very outstanding, and those civilian contestants are gems, Su Jingming said, but they aren't a threat to us. That's good, Li Miao Miao replied. In a rural courtyard. Bro, the main competition will begin tonight, a stocky young man said. Our opponent is Team Pearwood. Can we win? Qian Yun. A middle-aged man who looked like an old farmer smiled and said, a competition isn't just about winning. You have to discover your shortcomings and make yourself stronger. It's only been a month or so since the virtual world's launch. Professional gladiators like Su Jingming and me still have the advantage, but in the future, talented people like you will have a broader future. Brother, you were the world's top 8. You're also talented, the young man said. Huh, you're more talented than me, Hao Fan said with a smile. Regardless, I have to admit that Team Pearwood has Wang Yi, one of the top 3 sharpshooters in the country, as well as Su Jingming, Heng Fang, Ong Qingxuo, and Lu Chongyuan protecting her. This team is stronger than ours overall. Enjoy the competition with the mindset of learning and the mindset of discovering your shortcomings. The next competition will be when you send waves through the country and the world. Hao Fan looked at his younger brother in anticipation. After he retired, he returned to his hometown and started taking in disciples to teach. Of the disciples in his hometown, his younger brother, Hao Qianyun, had the most potential. He had more potential than a former national athlete like him. Okay. Hao Qianyun nodded. The Firestarter Cup's main competition was held at midnight on September 2nd. There was a host and 2 guests in the official live stream. The opening battle of the Firestarter Cup will be between Lu Hai's elderly team and Team Changnan, Lu Xin said with a smile. Let's interview the 2 teams first. The 6 members of Lu Hai's elderly team and the 6 members of Team Changnan stood on each side. Let's talk to teacher Lu Hai's team first. Lu Xin walked to the side and asked with a smile, Teacher Lu Hai, do you have anything to say to your opponent? Lu Hai smiled at his 5 companions. Dai Tongda, who had a braid, was the best looking. He smiled and said, Team Changnan, we won't go easy on you. If you want to fight Master Lu Hai, you have to defeat the 4 of us first. You have to respect the elderly and love the young, the oldest Zhou Fan chuckled. The best way to show respect is to wipe you out, Lu Bo, the bald captain of Team Changnan, said. Moments later, on the snowy battlefield. Stop firing. Stop firing. Lu Bo's body was covered in blood as he shouted immediately, can you give me a 1.1 chance? His 4 teammates had been killed, leaving him alone. Old Zhou, your archery is extraordinary. You can definitely compare with the top 10 sharpshooters, Dai Tongda said with a smile. The old man holding the bow and arrow, Zhou Fan, laughed heartily and said, I was the one who taught Zhou Yi how to fire quickly. I'll give you a 1.1 chance, the stocky and rather fierce Su Hong said. He was much more muscular and heavier than his son, Su Jingming. All right. Lu Bo became more ferocious as he charged forward and thought to himself. No matter what, I have to kill at least one. Otherwise, it will be terrible if I don't get a single kill. Lu Bo ran in the snow with his 2 axes, and every step he took caused the snow on the ground to tremble. Die. Lu Bo charged at Su Hong. He was a little emotional. Finally, he didn't have to consider the terrifying arrows. Roar. Su Hong roared, and his eyes were like those of a tiger. The ferocious tiger evolution he had cultivated allowed him to unleash terrifying strength in 2 steps. He struck out with his shield, a move he had practiced for 40 years. He had focused on this move his entire life. Compared to Su Jingming, Su Hong's moves were purer and more direct. They even contained Su Hong's will. Nobody can block my pounce. Even if the sky collapsed, it would happen after a single pounce. 8 extremities. Tiger pounce. Bang. Under the shield's impact, Lu Bo felt a terrifying force pass through his axis as he couldn't help flying backward. Swish. A flying dagger stabbed through Lu Bo's neck while he was in flight. Dai Tongda held a flying dagger in his hand and smiled. Kid, I'll tell you something. Don't trust your opponent during a competition. All members of Team Changnan were defeated. Chapter 62. 8 Extremities Shield Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 62. 8 Extremities Shield Technique. Lu Hai's Team won. Beautiful. Nicely done. The crowds cheered. Mrs. Su and Li Miao Miao were also happy, and Grandpa Su was all smiles. Wang Yi, Heng Fang, Yang Qingshua, and Lu Chongyuan also felt admiration for the senior. Only Su Jingming himself stared at the scene in front of him in a daze. When his father struck out with his dual shields, his entire body erupted with essence, energy, and spirit. His eyes were filled with fervor, and he was like a tiger in the flesh. With a pounce, the enemy was sent flying. Images flashed across Su Jingming's mind. When he was young, his father taught him the 8 extremities tiger pounce. His father loved this move and practiced tiger pounce day and night for 40 years. To his father, it was a move that had been integrated into his life. I get it, Su Jingming murmured. Jingming, what's wrong? Li Miao Miao looked at Su Jingming. I'm going to the martial arts arena to practice for a while. Get me when the competition begins, Su Jingming said. Ours is the 11th match, so you have about 5 hours. It's still early, Li Miao Miao said immediately when she noticed the change in her boyfriend. Su Jingming nodded and disappeared from the stands. Su Jing appeared in the martial arts arena in his personal space. Very few people chose to stay in the martial arts arena and forego watching the competition. I love spearmanship and every move and stance of it. I'm obsessed with the speed of my spearmanship. I thrust my spear more than 1,000 times a day. I remember that when my spearmanship reached 18 meters per second, I was so excited in the national team that I jumped for joy. I couldn't sleep the entire night, Su Jingming murmured. I even gave up on the combo aspect of spearmanship and pursued maximum speed. For this, I studied the anatomical diagrams of a body, the structure of the muscles, ligaments, and bones, and drew pictures of them. I studied my strength delivery using physics in a way I never did even for my exams. Finally, I created shadowless thrust. When I gave up the combo aspect of spearmanship and defense, my maximum speed for a thrust reached 25 meters per second. In the World Martial Arts Tournament, as long as I found an opportunity to use shadowless thrust, the enemy would definitely lose. I love the 8 extremities fist. With the force delivery technique of 8 extremities Iron Mountain, I created the ultimate move, mountain shattering. Su Jingming thought to himself. I've practiced 8 extremities poking foot and my spearmanship since I was a child. I only love spearmanship when it comes to weapons. In the virtual world, I mostly practice spearmanship. As for shield techniques. Su Jingming recalled the past. They were purely a tool. Master Lu Hai taught me, allowing me to control my body's strength better. It's a form of Taiji training. When I practice shield techniques, I do manage my entire body's strength more and more meticulously. But from beginning to end, shield techniques were only tools for me. When have I ever loved shield techniques? Perhaps, only at the moment when I unleashed the 8 extremities tiger pounce using a shield technique. Su Jingming thought to himself. He recalled the first divine battle, where he used his shield technique to unleash 8 extremities tiger pounce and sent Sun Yuding flying. He felt delighted and euphoric then. This was because using this move gave him strong feelings. They were feelings that he had gained from practicing the 8 extremities tiger pounce since he was a child. Su Jingming thought to himself. Father didn't practice shield techniques much in the past, he only started practicing shield techniques after entering the virtual world. He used his dual shields to unleash the 8 extremities. Everything was fluid. In fact, after I retired, I gradually integrated the 8 extremities into my shield techniques. It's just that I didn't continue in the virtual world. I also love the 8 extremities. It is the first kung fu I've practiced since I was a child. 8 extremities: punch, shoulder, back, fist, palm. There's nowhere I can't exert force, Su Jingming thought. The shield techniques master taught me are very brilliant. They borrow the force of the impact and are very good at controlling the enemy. I've reached LV 299% from just practicing the basics, but a brilliant shield technique doesn't mean that it's suitable for me. No matter what shield technique it is, I have to love it from the bottom of my heart. Su Jingming came to a realization. If I don't love it, how can my mind perfectly control every part of my body? I want to practice shield techniques, 8 extremities shield technique. Su Jingming's eyes burned as he tapped the interface and set up a sparring assistant. A metal dummy appeared in front of him. Set it to 100 tons. The metal dummy connected to the base plate, and the plate probably took up half of its weight. It landed very steadily on the ground. A complete 8 extremities shield technique. Just the thought of it makes me excited. Su Jingming extended his hands and held a shield in each hand as he walked in front of the metal dummy. He then raised the shield in his right hand and leaned his shoulder against the shield before slamming it into the dummy. Bang! The dummy trembled, and the base plate moved slightly back. I'll warm up first. Su Jingming leaned his right shoulder against the shield and slammed into the metal dummy a few times. Then, he switched to his right shoulder and did a few more slams. Following this, he simply slammed his body into the dummy, slamming his chest and back. Su Jingming was overjoyed. His entire body swayed like a bear, leaning against the dummy using one side one moment and another side another moment. Every bear leaning caused the 100-ton dummy to tremble and move. It was obvious that Su Jingming could exert all his strength through every part of his body. Weapons are only an extension of the body. The body has to exert its full strength first before the weapon can exert its full strength, Su Jingming thought. Physical force delivery was the most basic part of weapons. Su Jingming used bear leaning on the metal dummy 100 times before stopping. I'm done with the warm-up. Actually, bear leaning is quite comfortable. Su Jingming looked at the dummy in front of him. Next is 8 extremities crush. His father loved the 8 extremities tiger pounce the most. Su Jingming wasn't as obsessed as his father. He loved many of the 8 extremities moves, such as 8 extremities crush. His love for it wasn't inferior to the 8 extremities tiger pounce. Bam! Su Jingming exerted strength with his foot, and the ground trembled faintly. The shield in Su Jingming's hand then struck the dummy like a bolt of lightning, causing the dummy to move more than 10 centimeters back from the impact and leave a ditch in the ground. 8 extremities crush is like a burst of lightning. Its force is delivered faster and more expeditious. Su Jingming practiced happily. He stomped his foot, and the shield crashed into the dummy, causing it to move back by more than 10 centimeters again. Su Jingming constantly executed his attacks, every move at close range. Every time the shield collided with the metal dummy, the impact was terrifying. 8 extremities crush was the most practiced move among the 8 extremities fists. There were relatively fewer 8 extremities tiger pounce practitioners. 8 extremities tiger pounce was the most ferocious move, but that was a pounce. It needed a distance of 2 to 3 steps. This distance was needed to raise one's speed fully. It was a pounce that was powered by the momentum of one's entire body. Sometimes, one didn't have the chance to use it in combat. For example, in the first divine battle, Su Jingming only suddenly charged out and lunged forward when Sun Yuding was about to charge at the sharpshooter. But 8 extremities crush was different. He didn't need distance, he could even use it at close range. Su Jingming's sweeping technique originated from 8 extremities crush. He practiced more than 108 extremities crushes in one go. 8 extremities, Mountain Cleave. Su Jingming switched moves again. He held his 2 shields and looked at the metal dummy in front of him before suddenly raising his 2 shields and advancing. Whoosh! He suddenly exerted strength with his raised right shield, and the right arm holding the shield swung down like a huge axe. Heaven and earth are connected in one breath. Mountain Cleave. Su Jingming still remembered the 8 extremities fist technique from his family's books. The ancients might not have studied the body so thoroughly, so they could only guide it with their intent. Su Jingming struck the metal dummy with the edge of the shield. The edge of the shield was also very sharp, not inferior to a heavy weapon's chop. This strike naturally fused his body and strength. From a physical point of view, it also carried gravitational potential energy. Bam! The metal dummy's chest caved in from the strike, and it trembled before moving back a little. 8 extremities, Mountain Cleave. Su Jingming continued practicing, and the edge of his shield struck the metal dummy like a huge axe. As Su Jingming practiced, he subconsciously smiled. Just like when he was a child, he happily practiced the 8 extremities fist in front of a target. Back then, he practiced bear leaning, shoulder leaning, back leaning, elbow strike. He also practiced the 5 killer moves his father had taught him. Tiger Pounce, Crush, Mountain Cleave, Sky-Piercing Cannon, and Tiger Climbing. Other children were having fun in soccer classes or other forms of entertainment, but Su Jingming was practicing the 8 extremities fist. He enjoyed practicing. After mastering the 8 extremities fist, he practiced poking foot and then the spear. He had practiced the 8 extremities fist the longest. Chapter 63. Breakthrough. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 63. Breakthrough. Su Jingming practiced alone in the martial arts arena. Meanwhile, China's official live stream was extremely lively. More than 1 billion viewers across the country were watching this grand competition. Where's Jingming? Su Hong returned to the stands and was warmly welcomed by everyone, but he didn't see his son, Su Jingming. He went to the martial arts arena, Li Miao said. Su Hong was surprised. He can practice at any time, must he do it now? This is the Firestarter Cup national tournament, where many experts are gathered. He probably had an epiphany, so he immediately needed practice, Li Miao explained. Keep it to yourself, old man, Mrs. Su said. Su Hong coughed twice and asked, did he see my match? Mrs. Su smiled. Don't worry, he saw it. He only left after watching your competition. That's more like it. Su Hong smiled and nodded. Continue watching the competition. Lei Yunfang is about to enter the arena, he's one of the top experts in the world. Countless viewers gathered in China's official live stream and watched the competition excitedly. Every battle was a rare clash between experts. Although experts occasionally appeared in ordinary divine battles, it was very rare for top teams to clash with top teams. Lei Yunfang's team won, and Senior Lei Yunfang even made a move himself. His footwork was really cool. In just a few steps, the 3 enemies that came close lost their lives, Yang Qingxua praised. Zhou Yi's arrow is really terrifying. It's much more terrifying than that of his father, Grandpa Zhou Fan. It's like a heavy machine gun, Lu Chongyuan said. Team Fairy Dance has so many beauties. Hun Fong exclaimed. They're beautiful, and they won beautifully. From the 2nd to 4th matches, the consecutive victors clinched victory in one-sided battles. After all, the strength gap between the last and the first few teams was still very obvious. The 5th match is Team Cloud Mountain versus Team White Dragon. This match is interesting, Yang Qingxua said with a smile. Team Cloud Mountain's Chang Qingpeng has a grudge with Team White Dragon's Xing Bailong. From the information I've gathered, Chang Qingpeng was apparently crippled by Xing Bailong. Li Miao asked. Wang Yi nodded. Right, he crippled his manhood. It resulted in a huge grudge. Thankfully, in this era, even limbs can be regenerated with the genetic evolutionary method. Otherwise, it would be too sad for Master Chang Qingpeng. In this battle, Team Cloud Mountain had the overall advantage. Captain Hua Qingshan and his good friend, Chang Qingpeng, cooperated and killed the members of the White Dragon Team one after another, leaving Captain Zheng Bailong alone. How useless! Getting eliminated in the first round, Qing Zihao was very unhappy but couldn't do anything. He couldn't hire stronger experts even if he wanted to, nor could he bear to spend that much money. Whoosh! On the ancient battlefield, Zheng Bailong looked at Chang Qingpeng in front of him. Zheng Bailong, what a coincidence to bump into you in the first round of the Firestarter Cup. Chang Qingpeng's eyes were cold. Ever since he lost his manhood, it was easy to imagine the torment he had suffered from the judgment of outsiders and the conflict he had with his family and wife. A martial arts master in his 30s was at his peak, but he fell from his pedestal and into the abyss. Yet, a despicable person like Zheng Bailong didn't receive any punishment. There had been many scumbags in the martial arts circle who had attacked unscrupulously, causing their opponents to become disabled or even die. But because professional competitions posed risks, they wouldn't be punished as long as there was no evidence that it was intentional. Chang Qingpeng burned with hatred and even had thoughts of murdering him. But considering that his children were still young, he endured everything. Thankfully, the genetic evolutionary methods had appeared. Chang Qingpeng, I've already said that it was an accident in combat. When have there been no accidents all these years? The seriously injured Zheng Bailong smiled and said, "You're just splitting hairs." Right, I'm just splitting hairs. In the future, I'll keep an eye on you in the virtual world and kill you every time I see you. The days ahead will be very long, just you wait. Chang Qingpeng struck out with his halberd, piercing Zheng Bailong's head. Zheng Bailong's figure then turned ethereal and disappeared. Zheng Bailong left the battlefield and returned to the stands. Darn it! Zheng Bailong gritted his teeth in anger. This era is kind to Chang Qingpeng. Humph, just you wait. Why would I be afraid of you? Zheng Bailong. Qing Zihao walked over. Boss. Zheng Bailong restrained his anger. I have nothing to say about you being eliminated in the first round. I'll unilaterally terminate the contract from before, Qing Zihao said calmly. As the sponsor, he had the right to decide whether to terminate the contract based on the results of the competition. Zheng Bailong looked at Qing Zihao and sneered. Do you have the ability to invite an expert stronger than me? What an idiot. Qing Zihao's expression changed. What did you say? Get lost. Leave me alone. Zheng Bailong waved his hand and blocked Qing Zihao from his list. With more than 1 billion viewers in the stands, he could block others. Without the Tiger Shark group backing Qing Zihao, Zheng Bailong thought nothing of him. He was only being polite because of the money. This Zheng Bailong. Qing Zihao was furious when he saw Zheng Bailong disappear and become uncontactable. The competition continued. In the 6th match, Tai Lianyun was extremely domineering. His teammates, Zhao Pan and Zhang Feng, were also very dazzling. Fu Xiu and Sun Li also played it safe and obtained a crushing victory. In the 7th match, the team composed of Fang Yu, Senior Lu Jianfeng, and the other civilian experts was very powerful. Fang Yu wore heavy armor and held a city, storming halberd, easily leading the team to victory. In the 8th match, Xiong Tianshan and Wang Qiao worked together. The two of them used shields and axes, and with their teamwork, they pushed forward with extreme might. Sharpshooter Zhuang Ziyu easily won the 9th match with the help of Yu Qing, Zhang Qian, Wu Sai, and other famous experts. The 10th match was intense. The team led by Feng Baiyu lost to the team composing of Gao Chong and Yang Yu in a close match. As the competitions that drew the attention of the entire country proceeded, Su Jingming was completely immersed in his shield techniques in his personal space's martial arts arena. He repeatedly practiced the 5 ultimate moves of the 8 extremities: Tiger Pounce, Crush, Mountain Cleave, Sky-Piercing Cannon, and Tiger Climbing, against the 100-ton metal dummy. The 8 extremities had other killer moves, but Mingyue City's branch mainly focused on these killer moves. Su Jingming had practiced them since he was a child, and he was extremely proficient in every move. Bang! 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 The metal dummy was severely damaged. Sky-Piercing Cannon. At close range, the dual shields in his hands suddenly charged forward. If Mountain Cleave was said to be a furious strike from above like a cleave from an axe, then Sky-Penetrating Cannon was the complete opposite, it charged upward. Under the centrifugal force, the speed of the dual shields made them a little blurry, and the upper edges of the dual shields crashed into the metal dummy's jaw. The 100-ton metal dummy trembled, and its chin caved in slightly. After practicing Sky-Penetrating Cannon more than 100 times, Su Jingming switched to 8 extremities Tiger Pounce. Boom! He took 2 steps every time, and in just 2 steps, his speed rose to 38 meters per second. His figure turned into a blur, and his dual shields crashed into the metal dummy. The metal dummy immediately moved back by about 20 centimeters, plowing a gully. Su Jingming didn't count the number of times he used the 8 extremities Tiger Pounce and instead practiced it as he wished. When he felt that he was done, he would switch to another method. After practicing the 8 extremities Tiger Pounce dozens of times, he became extremely excited. He used the 8 extremities Tiger Pounce again. Su Jingming's eyes turned faintly red, and he felt extremely carefree this time. The strength in his entire body naturally erupted from his feet, and every step he took was like the eruption of lightning. With just 2 steps, his speed increased to 50 meters per second. His entire body was like a cannonball that had been blasted out. The might he displayed was clearly much more terrifying than before, and the dual shields in his hands brazenly crashed into the metal dummy. Boom! This collision produced a much louder sound, like an explosion. The 100-ton metal dummy fell back and retreated more than a meter. Finally, due to the tilt, it lost its balance and collapsed. He overturned the 100-ton heavy metal dummy with one strike. Even Su Jingming was surprised by the might of the 5 killer moves' most ferocious move, 8 extremities Tiger Pounce. I previously felt that I had done a good job with mastering 8 extremities Tiger Pounce and that my force delivery was quite smooth, but this time, my force delivery is truly smooth. Su Jingming immediately opened his personal combat strength interface, genetic evolutionary method. Heavenly Python evolution, advanced 5%. 602 days of practice. No room for improvement, physique. 190 technique. Spearmanship, LV, 331%, footwork, LV, 299%, shield technique, LV, 31%. Basic combat strength. 4,180 combat bonus. 35% combat strength. 5643. A breakthrough in shield techniques allowed my spearmanship to rise from LV, 320% to 31%. Su Jingming smiled. The improvement in shield techniques does allow me to dig deeper and improve my combat techniques in all aspects. Many techniques were interlinked. Chapter 64. Stepping onto the stage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 64. Stepping onto the stage in the stands of China's official live stream channel. The 11th match will begin in a while. Our captain hasn't appeared yet, Lu Chong said. Should we get him? Calm down, Li Miao Miao said. The last match has just ended, and the guests will take more than 10 minutes commentating. Actually, the matches from before were quite exciting. Several teams were really impressive, Yang Qingshua said. Perhaps they will fight us in the second and third rounds. Brother Su actually didn't watch the competition. Wang Yi smiled and said, Captain is being confident. Don't worry. He'll watch the competition videos after the first round ends, Li Miao Miao explained. An official live stream will schedule a match every half an hour, Hang Fong said, but the actual battle only lasts 10 minutes at best. The pre-match interviews, the guests' predictions. The explanations and commentary after the match take up most of the time. Old Su saves time watching the videos after the match is over. Ha! Li Miao Miao saw a figure appear in the distance. It was Su Jingming. Jingming, Li Miao Miao immediately shouted. Old Su, you're finally here, Hang Fong said with a smile. You're the captain, yet you abandoned us here, Lu Chongyuan said. Don't worry. I kept track of the time, Su Jingming replied with a smile. There's nothing wrong with arriving 10 minutes early, right? Whoosh! A woman suddenly appeared and walked straight for Li Miao Miao. Hello, cat. I'm Xiaorong, an assistant for China's official live stream channel, the woman said with a smile. I'll invite all the members of Team Pearwood on stage in a while. This is the outline of the interview. The host will ask some of the questions, so you can make some simple preparations. If any of you don't wish to answer, you can get the other teammates to answer. A stack of documents was handed to the team manager, Li Miao Miao. Li Miao Miao took it and smiled. These questions sure are pointed. There has to be some tension in the pre-match interview, Xiaorong said with a smile. In a while, the official live stream will invite the 6 of you. Once you agree to the invitation, you will appear on stage. Su Jingming and the others nodded. I won't disturb you any longer. Xiaorong then left. Guys, here's an interview outline for each of you. Li Miao Miao began distributing them, each getting a piece of paper. Su Jingming took it and looked at it before laughing. There's a billion people watching. We have to be careful. Lu Chongyuan was a little nervous. As he read the outline of the interview, Su Jingming asked, is there anything special to take note of for the first 10 matches? There were many experts, Wang Yi said. I'm not even sure if some experts are hiding their strength. Su Jingming nodded. I'll watch the videos after the competition. Soon, an invitation came from China's official live stream at 5 p.m. sharp. Dad, Mom, Grandpa will be making a move, Su Jingming informed his family. When you're on stage for the interview, you mustn't appear weak no matter what, Su Hong said. To put it simply, taunt them. Grandpa Su reminded. Meanwhile, Wang Yi, Hang Fong, Yang Qingxua, Lu Chongyuan, and Li Miao Miao also spoke briefly with their relatives and friends. Then, the 6 people in the team simultaneously agreed to the live stream invitation. Su Jingming and the others appeared on the podium. 6 members of Team Pearwood, please sit here, Lu Xian greeted enthusiastically, and Su Jingming and the others sat down in order. At this moment, the 6 members of Team Thousand Sails appeared and sat down one after another. Sister E. Sister E is in the house. Cat. Wow, Cat can actually appear on stage as well. Cat is amazing. She's participating in the Firestarter Cup national tournament, although she's only a substitute member. Countless audience members watched, and many of them were fans of Wang Yi and Li Miao Miao. On the commentary platform, a slightly fat female guest smiled and said, I'm a fan of Wang Yi and Cat. I didn't expect to have the chance to interview you guys today. First, I want to ask Cat, how does it feel to be on stage? Nothing much. Li Miao Miao smiled. I think I'll be happier if you ask me this question in the finals. Finals. Lu Xian and the other male guest looked at each other. That's the spirit. Lu Xian smiled and said, I have to jot this down and ask you again in the finals. The female guest then looked at Wang Yi. Wang Yi, we all know that many teams invited you. You didn't make a choice until the last day, just before registrations ended. What made you choose Su Jingming and the others as your teammates? Because among all the teams that invited me, Wang Yi said with a smile, my teammates are the strongest. Strongest. The male guest smiled at Su Jingming. I want to ask Team Pearwood's captain, Su Jingming. Do you agree with what Wang Yi said? The teams that invited Wang Yi consisted of Team Fairy Dance led by Zhang Qing, Team Golden Rock led by Tai Lianyan, and several other powerful teams. The female guest beside him asked. Li Miao Miao said that she would be on stage in the finals. Captain, what do you think? Su Jingming smiled. Those were only tough words, we're not that strong. The other 5 members of the team laughed. Team Thousand Sails, are you confident in defeating Team Pearwood? The male guest immediately looked at the other team. We don't have the confidence to defeat them, Hao Fan said with a smile, his eyes filled with a fierce glint. But if they want to win, they'll have to break a few teeth for it. The other team members were also filled with fighting spirit. From the intelligence gathered, the gap between the two parties was still very obvious. It was precisely because of this that Team Thousand Sails was prepared to go all out. Even if all their members were wiped out, they would still have to kill 2 or 3 members of the other party. Everyone, the 11th match, Team Pearwood vs Team Thousand Sails, is about to begin. Lu Xian looked at the combat space that appeared behind her. The map they are fighting on is the forest map. The forest was muddy after the rain. Su Jingming's team and the 5 members of Team Thousand Sails descended at the same time. Some appeared on the ground, some were on trees, and some were on a mountain to the side, but they were all within a kilometer of each other. Rendezvous with Wang Yi first. Su Jingming ran along the mountainside while speaking into the team chat. According to the rules of the main competition, Heng Fang said in the team chat, the winning team will have a combat strength ranking according to their actual combat performance at the end of every round. Other than Lu Hai's and Lei Yunfang's teams being fixed at number 1 and number 2, the other teams will have a new ranking according to their actual combat performance. There will be 16 teams in the second round. When the time comes, number 1 will fight number 16, and number 2 will fight number 15, Heng Fang said. We have to avoid the 2 seniors teams early on so as to have more opportunities to fight and hone ourselves. If our team has an additional LV3 expert, we will have a chance of winning against the 2 seniors teams. Yang Qingshua said, the team's combat strength is calculated based on the strength each team member displayed in the competition. Therefore, even if you want to hide your strength, you can't hide too much. If you hide too much, we might end up as number 15 or 16. Just treat this normally. It's best if you can break through your limits in combat and reach LV3, Su Jingming said in the team chat. I'll act according to the situation. Alright. The team members were all very serious. Nearly all these top experts were stuck at a bottleneck. Every one of them yearned to break through the bottleneck and reach LV3. When that happened, they would quickly have a breakthrough with the evolutionary method. Let's go. In Team Thousand Sails, Hao Fan wore 2 sabers at his waist and charged at the forefront ferociously. Alright. The 4 team members charged forward with the captain. The team didn't have a single sharpshooter, so they attacked together. Su Jingming, Lu Chongyuan, Heng Fang, and Yang Qingshua were already protecting Wang Yi. Hao Fan is an elder who made it into the top 8 of the World Martial Arts Tournament after all, and he's very strong. None of the people he invited are mediocre, Su Jingming said in the team chat. The 3 of you will be in charge of defense. Leave it to us. Heng Fang, Yang Qingshua, and Lu Chongyuan were filled with fighting spirit. Shoo! An arrow suddenly tore through the forest, vast and fierce. The 2 sides officially clashed. Swoosh! Hao Fan swung his hand and shot out a stream of light, slamming into the arrow with a bang. What impressive concealed weapon techniques! Su Jingming was impressed. Some of these older generation contestants were relatively ordinary in strength, but the older generation, who remained diligent after retirement, had rather strange combat techniques. Charge! Hao Fan continued charging forward. He was the spearhead of the team, and his 4 teammates charged behind him, heading straight for Wang Yi. The forest map only covered 1 kilometer after all, so Hao Fan and the others had long determined Team Pearwood's general location. They ran at a speed that covered 100 meters in a few seconds, having already seen Su Jingming, Heng Fang, and the others. Throw! Hao Fan ordered. The 4 team members behind him suddenly threw out their flying axes and threw them consecutively with both hands. Instantly, more than 10 flying axes flew toward Su Jingming and the others. The flying axes tore through the air until they turned into blurry shadows, and every one of them was faster than 100 meters per second. They instantly arrived in front of Su Jingming and the others. Chapter 65. End of the first round. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 65. End of the first round. Su Jingming was a little impressed. Team Thousand Sails doesn't have sharpshooters, but they are all well trained with concealed weapons. Although Su Jingming held 2 shields, he didn't use them to block. Instead, he used his movement technique and quickly took a step forward, allowing 2 flying axes to flash past his side. My greatest flaw now is my footwork. If my footwork reaches LV3, my strength can reach a whole new level. Perhaps I'll be qualified to fight Master and Senior Lei Yunfang. Su Jingming was very clear-headed. Senior Lei Yunfang's movement technique was already terrifying when he first revealed his strength in the virtual world, much less now when his skills had reached a whole new level of perfection. People believed that Senior Lei Yunfang was the world's #1 when it came to movement techniques, and his master, Lu Hai, was the world's #1 in strength. Without his movement technique reaching LV3, he would be nothing more than a still target in front of Senior Lei Yunfang. After my shield technique broke through, my control over my body's strength has increased. For example, 8 extremities Tiger Pounce allows me to reach 50 meters per second in just 2 steps. The force exerted by my legs is already very high, and I can dodge quickly with footwork. The key now is to grasp the balance of my body. Su Jingming knew this very well. Combat techniques were interlinked. The more techniques at LV3, the easier it was for the remaining technique to reach LV3. For example, the force exerted by spearmanship was similar to shield techniques. The force exerted by 8 extremities Tiger Pounce was also similar to footwork, it was just that using Tiger Pounce meant charging forward with full force. Dodging with footwork was to move in all directions, it was more complicated. Bam! Bam! Lu Chongyuan held a huge shield in one hand and used it to block the flying axe. Yang Qingshua held a spear, and Heng Fang held a lance. They used their movement techniques to dodge the flying axes that rained down on them almost simultaneously, they even used their spear and lance to block the flying axes. Just as they blocked a flying axe in harrowing fashion, the 5 members of Team Thousand Sails arrived in front of them. Die! Hao Fan roared and lunged forward with his 2 sabers. Die! Of the 4 people behind him, all of them held dual sabers apart from one holding dual shields. They didn't fear death and charged at Su Jingming and the others. Not far away, Wang Yi watched this scene and frowned. The 5 members of Team Thousand Sails are wearing light armor, and they are now entangled with Captain and the others. At close range, they will keep moving, and by the time my arrow reaches them, they will definitely be in another location. Knowing of my existence, they will definitely be very careful and won't give me a chance easily. What a rash team, Wang Yi thought and quickly approached. As long as I'm close enough, their bodies won't be able to move much after I fire an arrow. Wang Yi's killing intent was biting cold. The sharpshooter is approaching. We have to fight with our lives on the line. Otherwise, we won't stand a chance. Hao Fan ordered through the team chat. Yes, Master. Yes, brother. Yes, Captain. The team members became even more frenzied. Other than Su Jingming deliberately honing his movement technique with his 2 shields with him focusing on dodging and occasionally blocking with his shield, Heng Fang, Yang Qingshua, and Lu Chongyuan found it extremely difficult and dangerous. Su Jingming watched this scene calmly, his teammates needed sufficient pressure. Pft. Pft. Yang Qingshua and Hao Fan left wounds on their opponents at the same time. Yang Qingshua stabbed through Hao Fan's left arm, and Hao Fan cleaved at Yang Qingshua's chest. However, Yang Qingshua's body blocked the force, and his strike didn't connect fully. All he did was split open a gash. Blood seeped out, but it wasn't fatal. Pft. A saber stabbed into Heng Fong's chest, and Heng Fong's lance also killed a member of Team Thousand Sails. He looked at the young man who had stabbed through his chest in surprise. Hao Qianyun. Nice saber technique, Heng Fong praised. He was very confident in his lance techniques. He took the initiative to fight 1 against 2 and killed one opponent, but Hao Qianyun's saber technique was unexpectedly ruthless. Amidst his praise, Heng Fong and the Team Thousand Sails member turned ethereal and disappeared. Swish. 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 Wang Yi was already close. She shot her arrows at the Thousand Sails team members at close range. All the members of Team Thousand Sails were fighting Su Jingming and the others at close range, and it was difficult for them to immediately escape their opponent's melee entanglement. At a distance of 30 meters. With every arrow moving at supersonic speeds, 3 members of Team Thousand Sails collapsed almost instantaneously, including the seriously injured captain, Hao Fan. At this moment, only Hao Qianyun was all that was left of Team Thousand Sails. The arrows now only targeted Hao Qianyun. Bam! 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 Hao Qianyun used his 2 sabers, and like layers of clouds, he blocked the arrows that Wang Yi shot at him in succession. Do any of you dare to fight me? On point 1. Hao Qianyun, a gentle youth, had a somewhat ferocious expression. Sharpshooter, do you dare fight me? On point 1. Let me fight him. On point 1. Wang Yi shouted, her eyes filled with fighting spirit. Lu Chongyuan, Yang Qingshua, and Su Jingming temporarily retreated. They also thought highly of Hao Qianyun, the last member of Team Thousand Sails. At the same time, they also respected their teammate. Die. Hao Qianyun's eyes turned faintly red as he pounced at Wang Yi. As he did so, his footwork changed. Wang Yi stood still and didn't move, she only drew her bow and shot. Swish. 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 She shot out her arrows as quickly as she could and strafed them at high speeds. At such a short distance, Wang Yi shot out 6 consecutive arrows. Although she had a little help from the uniqueness of the bow and arrows, the most important thing was Wang Yi's terrifying archery skills. Hao Qianyun relied on his movement technique and dual sabers that were good at defense to close in on Wang Yi until he was 10 meters away. At that close distance, he failed to block the final 6th arrow. Whoosh! But as he came close, Hao Qianyun threw out his 2 sabers. Pooh! The arrow penetrated the spot between Hao Qianyun's brows, causing his body to turn ethereal. The 2 sabers arrived in front of Wang Yi very quickly, and she dodged in horror as a saber sliced across her shoulder, producing a gash. Blood dyed the robe over her soft armor red. Even though she was injured, Wang Yi's eyes remained calm, extremely calm. She looked at Su Jingming and the others. The 4 members of the team also turned ethereal and left the battlefield. Team Pearwood won. Team Thousand Sails is ferocious, everyone practiced concealed weapons. The audience was bursting with excitement in China's official live stream as the male guest praised, especially this Hao Qianyun. His saber technique's defense is very exquisite, and his attacks are ruthless. Heng Fong never expected that the snake-like strike would stab through his chest. Although Team Thousand Sails was wiped out, they managed to kill 1 member of Team Pearwood. The 1. On point 1 battle between Hao Qianyun and Wang Yi at the end was thrilling. If the weapons Hao Qianyun had thrown out weren't the heavier dual sabers but faster and sharper axes, he might have killed Wang Yi, the female guest praised. Sister Ju, Hao Qianyun has no choice. Wang Yi's bow and arrows are too dangerous in melee combat, he has to use his two sabers to block the arrows. In the final moment, he only had his two sabers to throw. He didn't have the time to take out his axes, the male guest said. The female guest nodded. Wang Yi is also very impressive. She fought Hao Qianyun 1.1 and didn't show any changes in her expression even when she was injured. She's very calm. Wang Yi became the Olympic archery champion for 3 years because of her calmness. It's a calmness that throws her opponents in despair, Lu Xian said. With the virtual world's launch and human evolution, Wang Yi's archery skills are much better than back then. It's just that there's still a gap between her and Zhou Yi. I'm looking forward to seeing Wang Yi reach Zhou Yi's level. It's only a matter of time, the female guest said with a smile. The strength of the experts will gradually improve. Wang Yi will reach Zhou Yi's level sooner or later. When that happens, Zhou Yi might become even stronger, the male guest said with a smile. Su Jingming and the others appeared in the stands. Sorry for my showing, Heng Fang said in shame. I was the only one in our team who died in battle. This is also a form of training, Su Jingming said. To die in battle means that the pressure was high enough. Wang Yi nodded and said that Hao Qianyun is quite impressive. He should have reached the limit of LV2 in all aspects, and his saber techniques are very agile. Heng Fang agreed. His defense is watertight, and he strikes like a venomous snake without any warning. Moreover, he seems to be younger than us. How's our team's combat strength? It won't be ranked 15th to 16th, right? Yang Qingshua asked. The 4 of you did your best, Su Jingming said with a smile. I also fought a member of the other party. Although I mainly dodged and occasionally counter-attacked, I still had the advantage. In the system's evaluation, I should be slightly stronger than that member of the other team. Coupled with the combat strength the 4 of you unleashed. Our combat strength ranking should be quite good, it shouldn't be at the bottom. We were really going all out, Yang Qingshua said. Yeah. Wang Yi nodded as well. Hao Qianyun posed a serious threat to her in the end, so she had to give it her all. Su Jingming and the others also walked to where their relatives and friends were gathered. My 5 teammates, you've worked hard. Li Miao Miao smiled as she greeted them. As a substitute member, it feels good to win without doing anything. You and Captain had the easiest time in this match, Heng Fang teased. It's strength that makes it easy. Li Miao Miao hugged Su Jingming's arm and said smugly. Daddy. 3 girls ran to Lu Chongyuan. Dad, you're amazing. A boy ran to Yang Qingshua. Mom, you're so cool. A girl hugged Wang Yi. Heng Fang cowered his head behind his palm. All of you have children, I'm so envious. Su Jingming and Li Miao Miao looked at each other. At this moment, they felt like having a child as well. In the relaxing, entertaining atmosphere, Su Jingming and his relatives and friends watched the next few matches. At 8 a.m., the first round of the Firestarter Cup National Tournament's main competition came to an end. 16 teams were selected. Chapter 66. Tai Lianyun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 66. Tai Lianyun Translator. See Talon in China's official live stream. Lu Xian gazed at the projection in front of her and smiled as she looked up. The first 16 matches of the Firestarter Cup have come to a close. The virtual world has also deduced the combat strength displayed by the teams. Lu Hai's team and Zhou Yi's team are fixed as Team 1 and Team 2. The other teams have been ranked according to their combat strength. Lu Xian looked behind her, and the rankings of 16 teams appeared. First, Lu Hai's elderly team, Captain. Lu Hai, second. Team Lei Yunfang, Captain. Lei Yunfang, 3rd, Team Shield and Axe, Captain Xiong Tianshan, Team Combat Strength. 18,104th, Team Thunderclap, Captain. Gao Chong, Team Combat Strength. 16985th, Team Golden Rock, Captain. Tai Lianyan, Team Combat Strength. 16960 Team Zhou Yi, Captain. Zhou Yi, Team Combat Strength. 16,667th, Team Big Fish, Captain. Chen Yu, Team Combat Strength. 15918th, Team Drifting, Captain. Lu Zhozhou, Team Combat Strength. 15,809th, Team Fairy Dance, Captain. Zhang Qing, Team Combat Strength. 1573810th, Team Heavenly Note, Captain. Zhuang Ziyu, Team Combat Strength. 1563511th, Team Urim, Captain. Fong Yu, Team Combat Strength. 1559012th, Team Pearwood, Captain. Su Jingming, Team Combat Strength. 1538013th, Team Cloud Mountain, Captain. Hua Qingshan, Team Combat Strength. 15,114th, Team Pure Sword, Captain. Qin Gu, Team Combat Strength. 1386015th, Team 100 Sparrow, Captain. Qin 1, Team Combat Strength. 1387216th, Team Frost Song, Captain. Gu Chong, Team Combat Strength. 13,560. For the second round of the competition, we will still have the first teams fight the last teams. Team 1 will fight Team 16, and Team 2 will fight Team 15, Lu Xin said. This is the battle schedule for tomorrow. A battle schedule appeared by the side. Team Zhou Yi is ranked 6th, and Team Fairy Dance is ranked 9th. How surprising, Lu Xin said with a smile. On the one hand, some experts are still hiding their strength. On the other hand, the competition will only get more intense as time passes. The competition tomorrow will definitely be even more exciting. The first round of the Firestarter Cup's live stream ends here. Next up is my colleague, Sister Wan Ning, who is hosting Expert Tracking. There were programs on China's official live stream channel 24 hours a day. Meanwhile, the audience quickly left. After all, everyone was tired from watching the competition for so long. At the later stages of the competition, the number of viewers had even plummeted to 800 million. This was because the maximum number of hours available for minors under the age of 16 was 8 hours. Those children weren't willing to spend all their online time watching the competition. To my personal space. Su Jingming got up, and so did the other 5 members of Team Pearwood. Why do I feel like a husky hiding in a wolf pack? Li Miao Miao thought to herself among the group. In Su Jingming's personal space, one could see the ice lake on the mountaintop through the huge glass window. The scenery was beautiful. The 6 members of Team Pearwood sat on the sofa. When I was watching the competition, I took the time to watch the first few matches carefully, Su Jingming said. I found some threatening opponents. ALV3 expert. Wang Yi's eyes lit up as she asked. Su Jingming waved his hand, and 16 teams appeared beside him. I've carefully watched the slow-motion replays of some key battles. Su Jingming nodded. I can confirm that Team Shield and Axe's Xiong Tianshan has broken through to LV3, but his evolutionary method hasn't reached advanced. However, he has a chance of successfully breaking through tomorrow. Zhang Qing from Team Fairy Dance, Tai Lianyan from Team Golden Rock, and Fong Yu from Team Urim are suspected of breaking through, Su Jingming said. Suspected of a breakthrough. The team members looked at Su Jingming. The probability of them breaking through is at least 80%, and it's also possible that I was wrong, Su Jingming said. Of course, there might be experts hidden in the entire competition that I didn't notice, but the second round of the competition will be even more intense. Everyone will eventually reveal their strength. We will be fighting Team Golden Rock in the 5th match tomorrow. September 3rd, 2.00. Team Golden Rock vs Team Pearwood. All we need to do now is pay attention to Team Golden Rock. Su Jingming said. Sun Li is in Team Golden Rock, Han Fong said coldly. We've been his free sparring partners for more than half a month. We attacked him and helped hone his close-combat archery skills. Once he gained mastery, he scooted off before the competition began. Treat what he said as nothing but hot air. Lu Chongyuan was furious. We have the even stronger sister now, Yang Qingshua said with a smile. That Sun Li must be very unhappy. Wang Yi smiled. I'll definitely have to perform well during the competition. Sun Li isn't worth mentioning, Su Jingming said. He's the weakest in their team, so we need to be careful about Tai Lianyan, Zhao Pan, Zhang Feng, and Zhang Cheng. Especially this senior brother Tai Lianyan of mine. He was one of the 3 legends in China's martial arts world and was once 3-time reigning world champion. Su Jingming said seriously, speaking of which, he has won the most number of championships at the World Martial Arts Tournament for China. Han Fong nodded as well and felt the pressure. Senior brother Tai Lianyan is the most hardworking and crazy person I've ever seen. He trains crazily every day, and even his shoes get worn out. Therefore, he eventually decided to train barefoot. Every year and every season, regardless of how cold it is, he trains barefoot. His feet are covered in thick calluses. He practices in the morning and at night, and he also practices when he wakes up in the middle of the night. It's as if he was born to practice martial arts. The junior brothers who had been on the national team all felt this strongly. Yang Qingshua also said, Brother Su is very diligent in martial arts, but senior brother Tai Lianyan is a lunatic. It's precisely because of this that he has inherited master's shield and saber techniques the most, Su Jingming said. Moreover, I feel that he has probably broken through. If he breaks through to LV3 and reaches advanced, then, we have to give it our all in this battle, yes. Everyone present nodded. Zhao Pan and Zhang Feng are in no way inferior to me in strength. Han Fong nodded and said, they are much younger than me and have terrifying potential. Yeah. Lu Chongyuan said, Zhao Pan is 18 this year, and Zhang Feng is 20 this year. They are both civilian contestants. They reached their current strength after a month in the virtual world, their talent is terrifying. Li Miaomiao said, Team Golden Rock also has its ambitions for them to select 2 talented youngsters. They even invited Tai Lianyan to be their captain. Zhang Cheng is also slightly better than me in terms of shield techniques. Lu Chongyuan nodded and said, he's a person who can't find flaws in his defense. Team Golden Rock, in Tai Lianyan's personal space. This was a forest, and the entire forest was Tai Lianyan's residence. The 6 team members and the team manager were sitting on wooden chairs. Our opponent for the second round is Team Pearwood. The silver-haired youth looked at Sun Li. Sun Li, you were originally teammates with Su Jingming and the others. Tell me what you know. Sun Li nodded. I haven't interacted much with Wang Yi, but I'm very familiar with the other 4. In terms of standing, Han Fong is on par with Zhao Fan, so you have to be careful of his flying spear techniques. Yang Qingshua is slightly weaker than Zhang Feng, while Lu Chongyuan is slightly weaker and clumsier than Zhang Cheng. Our captain is naturally much stronger than Su Jingming. Okay. The silver-haired youth nodded slightly. The short and fat Tai Lianyan sat there and said coldly, I suspect my junior brother, Su Jingming, has broken through to LV3. Whoosh. Everyone present looked at Tai Lianyan. Broken through to LV3. Zhao Fan was somewhat young, and he had vigor matching his youth. He couldn't help but say, he only used a shield in the preliminaries and the first round of the competition. Are you sure he has broken through? He's too stable. His shield defense was too stable, and his evasion timing was too perfect, Tai Lianyan said coldly. However, that junior brother of mine is known to be violent and fierce, he has never been one for stability. Only when one's combat technique breaks through can they be extremely stable in all kinds of situations. The silver-haired youth nodded solemnly. You have a point. I've observed many team members and think that Su Jingming was very staid. Most importantly, he didn't even use his spear in the preliminaries and the first round, Tai Lianyan said calmly. I've observed him since he joined the national team. This junior brother of mine has astonishing spearmanship. Taking in all these aspects, I surmise that he has most likely broken through to LV3. I'm certain that he didn't break through when I left Team Pearwood, Sun Li said. That means he broke through after you left, Tai Lianyan said. Alright, leave him to me. The others will be left to you guys. Yes, Captain, the others in the team replied immediately. The silver-haired youth watched this scene in satisfaction. He felt that his best choice was to choose Tai Lianyan as captain. Unfortunately, he failed to invite Wang Yi. Chapter 67. Me. I'm a part of martial arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 67. Me. I'm a part of martial arts. In reality, noon. In a large factory in the suburbs of Jinmen City, there was nothing but a small number of desk equipment in the corner and 2 maintenance robots. A short fat man stood barefoot in the empty factory. He held a shield in his left hand and a saber in his right. Whoosh! He took a step forward, and his figure blurred as he traversed more than 10 meters. He swung his saber, tearing through the air with an explosive sound. He took another step and traversed another 10 meters. He struck out with his shield, producing a boom in the air. Forward hacking, forward smashing. Step after step, the short fat man practiced in silence. His feet caused the ground of the factory to tremble, and his smashing and hacking caused the air in the huge factory to rumble. What looked like simple actions would have left experts dumbfounded. The momentum generated from his forward movement was completely converted into the force of a cleave or the force of a shield bash, allowing every strike to have terrifying might. Most terrifying of all, these moves were already as easy as eating and drinking to the short fat man. He didn't need to think too much about it, it was completely instinctive. Click, the factory door opened, and a slightly plump woman walked in with a large lunchbox. The door automatically closed after she entered. Senior brother, the slightly plump woman greeted with a smile. Tai Lianyan stopped and looked back to see the woman smiling. He put down his shield and saber and walked over. Honey, what are we eating today? Of course, it's your favorite. The slightly plump woman walked to the dining table in the corner and unpacked the layers of small lunch boxes. She placed them on the table, 5 dishes, a soup, and a large portion of rice. It smells great. I'm famished. Tai Lianyan washed his hands in the sink beside him before sitting down and wolfing down the food. Look at you. You already have the virtual world. It's fine if you spend 16 hours a day practicing, but you still do so in reality, his wife said. You don't care about your children at home, and you don't care about business either. Don't I have you? Tai Lianyan smiled and said, I joined Team Golden Rock because you asked me to. Moreover, we don't lack money. We'll just let nature take its course when it comes to business. As for our children. Honey, it's been tough on you. I knew what kind of person you were long ago. I was already mentally prepared when marrying you, his wife said helplessly. But you're not young anymore, you're almost 40. Are you going to be so tough on yourself your entire life? Honey, you may find it tough, but I enjoy it, Tai Lianyan said. How interesting it is to pursue being world champion and becoming the world's strongest. The appearance of a powerful opponent compels me to come up with ways to defeat him. The feeling of surpassing an opponent is wonderful. His wife nodded. Are you confident about the second round? No, Tai Lianyan said, that junior brother of mine, Su Jingming, is a true genius. If he wasn't too monstrous, he wouldn't have entered the World Martial Arts Tournament too early. Given another 2 years of preparation, he stood a chance of becoming world champion in his early 20s. What about me? Among Master's many disciples, my talent is only considered average. I've long been aware of this. But you became world champion 3 times. You hold the most number of world championship belts in China, his wife said. Because I train the most hellishly, Tai Lianyan said. I train day and night, training all the time other than bedtime. When my body is tired, I just practice simple moves. When my body is sufficiently recovered, I train my body. I train until mealtimes. Even during mealtimes, I'm thinking about martial arts. When I'm asleep, I dream about martial arts. Naturally, I became one with my martial arts techniques, Tai Lianyan said. The plump woman looked at her husband and felt an invisible pressure from him. Master is extremely talented, and he became world champion in his old age. Lei Yunfang is also very monstrous, and he has the world's best movement techniques upon his debut. As for me, I stumbled and lost to many opponents, Tai Lianyan said, but I also surpassed one opponent after another and eventually became world champion time and time again. I believe that perhaps I will fall behind for a while, but I will definitely be the ultimate world champion. Tai Lianyan stated. Because they merely practice martial arts. As for me, I'm a part of martial arts. Tai Lianyan's eyes burned. His wife watched this scene with a smile. That one night, she was drawn to the barefooted man practicing his saber on the national team's field alone. I believe you will definitely be world champion, his wife said. Becoming world champion isn't the most mesmerizing thing, Tai Lianyan said. The most mesmerizing thing is the process of becoming world champion, defeating powerful opponents. After lunch, Tai Lianyan picked up his shield and saber and practiced alone in the factory. He needed an unwavering heart to endure this loneliness forever. That night, the second round of the Firestarter Cup National Tournament officially began. The competition has begun. The 6 members of Team Pearwood gathered and sat in the stands, watching the exciting battles. In the first match, Lu Hai's elderly team versus Team Frost Song. Dad and the others won't have it as easy as the first round, Su Jingming observed and said. Team Frost Song has Gu Chong, Lian Shuang, and many other experts, Li Miaomiao said. 4 against 5. Uncle and the others are still lacking. In this match, the 4 elderly members of Lu Hai's elderly team had good teamwork and were proficient in their moves. But after sharpshooter Zhou Fan was killed by Team Frost Song during their storming charge, the team fell into a disadvantage. Lu Hai only finally made a move when the dual shield-wielding Su Hong was the only one left. The remaining 2 members of Team Frost Song cooperated and attacked Master Lu Hai. Whoosh! 1 strike. With a flash of his saber, he sliced through 2 members of Team Frost Song, tearing through their heavy armor and light armor. Lu Hai's elderly team won. This is what it means to be world champion. Lu Xian couldn't help but say, he can even split open heavy armor with a single strike, and he killed 2 people with it. The strength of the world's number 1 is terrifying. The male guest, Jin Fan, said, other experts can't even withstand a single strike from him. The female guest, Zhu Wenqing, smiled and said, as of now, only 6 people in the world have cleared the Cosmos Tower's 3rd level. Master Lu Hai cleared it a month ago. He cleared it the moment the Cosmos Tower was opened. His strength gives him a huge advantage over the others on the rankings, much less ordinary experts. Teacher Lei Yunfang will be participating in the next match. He's world number 1 when it comes to movement, Lu Xian said. He hasn't fought Master Lu Hai publicly in the virtual world. In the second match, Team Lei Yunfang vs Team 100 Sparrow. The four teammates Senior Lei Yunfang chose are somewhat weak. Heng Fong looked inside. Although Master Lu Hai chose civilian contestants, all of them have powerful means. The four civilian contestants that Lei Yunfang chose are much more mediocre. Senior Lei Yunfang alone is enough to win, Wang Yi said. Su Jingming watched as well. Lei Yunfang's four teammates barely managed to pin down two opponents. Senior Lei Yunfang wore cyan clothes and had two sabers on his back. His footwork appeared casual, but he was terrifyingly fast. His figure turned into a blur as he quickly caught up to the enemies. Every time he approached an enemy, he would deliver a strike. Although he had two sabers on his back, drawing one was enough. He forced three members of Team 100 Sparrow to assemble and fight Lei Yunfang, but he still easily dispatched them with a single strike. The members of Team 100 Sparrow couldn't even touch Lei Yunfang's clothes. After his teammates killed one person, Senior Lei Yunfang killed four and ended the match. Why is his movement technique so terrifying? Su Jingming focused his attention. His footwork was still stuck at LV 299%, and Senior Lei Yunfang's movement technique had reached LV 3 the moment the virtual world was launched. It was even more magical now. Su Jingming found it a work of art. He had only taken 2 steps, but it was as if space had changed. In the third match, Team Shield and Axe vs Team Pure Sword. Qin Gu of Team Pure Sword is a very talented civilian expert. He should be able to grow stronger with enough time, Su Jingming praised. But his opponent is Xiong Tianshan, who has broken through to LV3. He has plenty of combat experience, so Team Pure Sword has no chance at all. A crushing victory. In the fourth match, Team Thunderclap vs Team Cloud Mountain. Oh my god! Yang Qingshua stared. The carnage! Heng Fong exclaimed in surprise. Su Jingming also watched seriously. This match was unexpectedly exciting, and both sides were locked in battle. A total of 5 contestants from China have taken first place in the World Martial Arts Tournament, and Yang Yu and Gao Chong are 2 of them, Lu Chongyuan said. Their teamwork is very strong. As for Hua Qingshan and Chang Qingping from Team Cloud Mountain, although they have never been world champion, they are also martial arts masters. With these 2 masters working together, they aren't disadvantaged at all. Of the 2 teams' core members, one side had Gao Chong and Yang Yu, while the other than Hua Qingshan and Chang Qingping. The other teammates were clearly inferior. The strength of the 2 teams is very close. It all depends on how they perform on the spot. Su Jingming could also tell that the 2 teams were exchanging blows, each calculating and cooperating for the next move. This battle surprisingly lasted for more than 9 minutes. In the end, only Hua Qingshan, who had lost his arm, was left. Team Cloud Mountain won. Team Thunderclap was eliminated. This match is the most evenly matched of the first 4 matches, Wang Yi praised. It's our turn next, Su Jingming said. Wang Yi, Heng Fong, Yang Qingshua, and Lu Chongyuan were also filled with fighting spirit thanks to the first 4 matches. Chapter 68. Team Pearwood vs Team Golden Rock. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 68. Team Pearwood vs Team Golden Rock. Translator. Sitalan, China's official live stream was filled with people. This was a grand occasion that everyone was paying attention to. At 2 a.m. sharp. Let us welcome Team Golden Rock and Team Pearwood, Lu Xian said. The 6 members of Team Golden Rock and the 6 members of Team Pearwood appeared on stage. It wasn't the first time for everyone, so they sat down with great familiarity. There was plenty of anticipation toward your battle when I was discussing it with the 2 guests, Lu Xian said. On one side is China's #1 sharpshooter, Wang Yi, and on the other side is Tai Lianyan, one of the 3 martial arts legends in China. This battle will definitely be exciting. Lu Xian, Jin Fan, a male guest, said with a smile, I think Team Golden Rock has a greater advantage. Look, after Xiong Tianshan's breakthrough, the battle between the two teams became one-sided. I think Tai Lianyan's strength isn't inferior to Xiong Tianshan's. The female guest, Zhu Wenqing, looked at the short and fat Tai Lianyan curiously. Teacher Tai Lianyan, may I ask if you've broken through to LV3? Tai Lianyan sat there with a smile and said, everyone will know when the battle begins. It looks like this needs to be kept a secret before the battle, Zhu Wenqing said with a smile. BL.net, Zhao Fan. The male guest looked at the slightly young Zhao Fan. I heard that you only started learning martial arts and weaponry combat after entering the virtual world. Is that true? Yes. Zhao Fan nodded. I've never practiced those before. Countless audience members exclaimed in surprise when they heard that. He had reached this level after 1 month. Plus in the virtual world. Su Jingming and the others from Team Pearwood were secretly surprised when they heard that. When martial arts, weaponry, and combat became something everyone participated in, it was inevitable for freaks of nature to appear. Your performance in the preliminaries and the first round was very impressive, Jin Fan said. I believe more people will become your fans after they know that you started learning martial arts after the virtual world's launch. Thank you. Zhao Fan was very humble. Let me ask the captain of Team Pearwood. Lu Xian looked at Su Jingming, she still thought highly of him. China's first divine battle was also the first virtual world live stream I hosted. Back then, Captain Su Jingming's performance was the best. I wonder if Captain Su Jingming has the confidence to defeat Team Golden Rock. Of course, I'm confident, Su Jingming said with a smile. Jingming, you seem very confident. Tai Lianyan, who was a man of few words, suddenly spoke. He glanced at Su Jingming and questioned, is it because of your sharpshooter teammate or because of yourself? Su Jingming also looked at Tai Lianyan and smiled. I'm looking forward to fighting you, senior brother. Tai Lianyan smiled. Me too. Both parties faintly sensed that the other party had a breakthrough and treated the other party as a formidable opponent. Captains, it feels like you're about to break out into a fight on stage, Jin Fan said. I heard that Team Golden Rock's Sun Li was originally a member of Team Pearwood. Sun Li had trained with Su Jingming and the others for an extended period. Yes, Sun Li said with a humble smile. I can only say that we weren't fated. Hein Fong said, our Team Pearwood doesn't have any contractual constraints and only relies on verbal promises. Everyone trained together, but there's always someone who doesn't care about promises and is more concerned about money. It's fine, there is little common ground for understanding between persons of differing principles. Sun Li's expression turned gloomy. This was China's official live stream. More than 1 billion people were watching this battle. Right, we didn't have a contract restricting us, Sun Li said. Therefore, Team Pearwood still contacted Wang Yi despite having a sharpshooter like me. In that case, there was no need for me to stay. Sun Li, do you still have any shame? You were the one who left first. Lu Chongyuan gritted his teeth. If it weren't for the live stream, he would have cursed. I received Captain Su Jingming's first invitation at midnight on the 28th, the last day before registration, Wang Yi said with a smile. I didn't hesitate to agree to Captain Su Jingming's request. Su Jingming's junior sister, Dai Xiaoqing, has long been friends with Wang Yi, Sun Li said again. He had to mislead the billion-strong audience, otherwise, it would be troublesome if his reputation was completely tarnished. Please make preparations. The competition is about to begin. Lu Xian didn't stop them and allowed the two teams to clash. She only reminded them when it was almost time. The two teams got up and looked at each other. In the combat space, in the combat area. The map of this battle is a modern city map. Su Jingming looked at the map in front of him and frowned slightly. The buildings are densely packed, so it isn't too conducive for sharpshooters. Don't worry. There are suitable combat plans for all 5 maps and scenarios, Wang Yi said. The two teams immediately chose their weapons and equipment. After all the choices were made, a total of 10 people from both sides entered the battle map. In a modern city. The 10 people arrived in this area. Although the modern city appeared huge, it only spanned 1 kilometer for combat. Over time, this area of allowed activity would shrink. Shrinking the area forced the teams to fight it out. No team would constantly hide in a competition like the Firestarter Cup national tournament. This was because they had to fight even if they hid until the end. It was better to go all out at the beginning. Whoosh! Su Jingming appeared on the rooftop of a 6-story residence. He bent down and hid under the guardrail, carefully looking around. Point C is suitable for an ambush, it's closer to me, Wang Yi said in the team chat. At the same time, she marked out the location of Point C on the team map. After being in combat so many times, she was already very familiar with the areas suitable for an ambush on the 5 maps. Rendezvous at Point C, Su Jingming said in the team chat. Be careful of Team Golden Rock's sneak attack while rendezvousing. Yes, Captain. Everyone in the team started gathering. It was the same for Team Golden Rock. Tai Lianyan appeared in a residential house. He carefully looked out through the edge of the curtain and saw the location of his teammates on the team map. He then labeled a spot. Let's assemble at Point A. We might encounter the enemy during the rendezvous. Be careful of the sharpshooter and watch out for Yang Qingshua's sneak attacks. Yes, Captain, the 4 said in unison. The styles of the two teams were completely different. Su Jingming's team was centered around the sharpshooter, while Team Golden Rock's sharpshooter, Sun Li, enjoyed a much lower status. His archery was much weaker, but he was good at close combat, so there was no need to protect him deliberately. All they needed to do was treat him as a special warrior. In a residential house, Wang Yi wore soft armor on the inside and a layer of soft sportswear on the outside. At this moment, she was carrying a total of 6 quivers. In order to deal with the orc army during the preliminaries, the virtual game allowed for unlimited replenishment of equipment. But in combat, all the weapons and equipment needed to be selected from the beginning. They had to carry the equipment selected, so weight had to be considered. There was no limit to the number of arrows a sharpshooter could fire. As long as one could carry them, they could carry as many as they wanted. Having too many quivers will affect my movement and archery. Wang Yi carefully put down 2 quivers and placed them in the room, the first backup spot. Whoosh! Then, she carefully left the house and silently walked down the stairs. After leaving the residence, she walked along the edge of the building and quickly headed for Point C. Wang Yi arrived at the 3rd floor of an inconspicuous street shop that was just dozens of meters away. She then put down 2 quivers. Second backup spot. This feels much better now. Wang Yi carried the last 2 quivers and walked familiarly to the rooftop of a shop on the side street. Through the corner of the balcony railing, she began to observe her surroundings carefully. The buildings around the shop on the side street were relatively short, allowing her to see anyone coming from every direction. Wang Yi waited patiently. I'm here. Yang Qingshua was the first to enter the area. Wang Yi checked the corners of the rooftop, and suddenly, her eyes lit up. She saw a figure dart past the street intersection about 200 meters away and carefully proceed in a certain direction. Wang Yi quickly took out her arrow and took 2 steps to the other corner. She stared in that direction and saw the figure flash past again, advancing very quickly. Wang Yi almost instinctively deduced the other party's speed. In her eyes, 200 to 300 meters of space appeared in her mind. The enemy's advancing speed, the distribution of the surrounding buildings, and the effects of the wind speed, everything was extremely clear. It's that spot. Wang Yi charged forward and leaped out of the rooftop, drawing her bow in the air to a full draw in midair. She stared at the area expressionlessly and released the armor-piercing arrow in her hand. Swish. Releasing armor-piercing arrows placed a huge burden on the body, and one could only fire one at a time. Moreover, one needed to rest before firing a second shot. However, the might of this arrow was much greater. The arrowhead was very heavy, and the supersonic arrow tore through the air to form a shockwave that instantly penetrated the glass door of a building in the distance. At this moment, a figure flashed past the other end of the glass door, and the arrow had already struck him. What the hell? Zhang Feng's movement technique was like a ghost as he quickly advanced. Moreover, he stuck close to the buildings, making it difficult for the sharpshooter to see him. Even if he was spotted, it was difficult for her to hit him. But as he walked along the wall of the building and reached the glass door, bang! Before the sound of the glass shattering reached his ears, the arrow had already arrived. Zhang Feng sensed the fluctuations in the air and couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle. He was so frightened that he instinctively twisted his body. Pooh! The arrow streaked past his abdomen and tore open a bloody wound, causing blood to gurgle out. Chapter 69. Su Jingming's Rampage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 69. Su Jingming's Rampage. Wang Yi landed lightly on the street and returned to the shop on the street in a flash. Sister Yi, impressive, Yang Qingxua praised. I hit Zhang Feng, but he didn't die. He should be seriously injured, Wang Yi said in the team chat. Zhang Feng immediately hid in a building on the other side after being shot. He then found a door and entered. After entering the room, he looked down at his abdomen injury. The clothes and soft armor around his abdomen had long been torn, and the wound was huge. Having cultivated the evolutionary method to his present level, he moved his muscles to stop the blood loss. However, the wound was too big. Zhang Feng ripped open his clothes and began bandaging the wound around his abdomen. I was so fast, and I kept clinging to the walls, Zhang Feng said. I even changed my speed occasionally. How did I get hit? Everyone, be careful. I was shot by Wang Yi and suffered an injury to my abdomen. I reckon I only have 50% of my strength left, Zhang Feng said in the team chat. Her location is probably this area. Zhang Feng marked an area on the team map. He got shot even in such a situation. In China's official live stream, the host and guests were shocked. Countless audience members were in an uproar. Liu Xian even played the slow-motion replay. The male guest, Jin Fan, watched and exclaimed in surprise, Wang Yi is on the store's rooftop, giving her a vantage point to see every direction. The moment Zhang Feng exposed himself to her, at this intersection, about 200 meters away, Wang Yi immediately locked onto the second intersection. Zhang Feng exposed himself again, but it was only for an instant. Jin Fan pointed at Wang Yi in the projection. The moment Zhang Feng was exposed for the second time, Wang Yi leaped off the roof and landed here. She then shot out the arrow in midair. This arrow tore through the air and traversed nearly 200 meters, piercing through the glass. Zhang Feng happened to appear in the arrow's trajectory. The female guest watched the entire slow-motion process and exclaimed in surprise, Zhang Feng has actually been constantly changing his speed while traveling. He slows down every few seconds and occasionally accelerates. But only 1.22 seconds passed from the time Zhang Feng was exposed to Wang Yi's arrow hitting him. Of which, the arrow spent half a second flying in the air. It's ridiculous. Zhou Yi's bow and arrow are like heavy machine guns that are firing randomly. The male guest, Jin Fan, praised. Wang Yi is a long-range heavy sniper. As long as there's a chance, she'll seize it. The audience was also very excited. In the battle, the amount of tips Wang Yi received kept rising. As one of the top 3 streamers on the spectator platform, Wang Yi's combat style had always attracted fans. Be it close-range strafing or unimaginable long-range sniping, and the fact that she was a beauty. Watching her live stream was pure eye candy. In this battle, Wang Yi was far ahead of the 10 contestants in terms of tips. The two teams became even more vigilant when Zhang Feng was seriously injured. Oh! Heng Fang, who was walking carefully, turned the intersection and saw a young man, Zhao Fan, who was also walking carefully. The two looked at each other in surprise. They were only 10 meters apart, it was too close. Die. While traveling, Heng Fang held 2 short spears in each hand. Zhao Fan held a crescent saber. The moment they saw each other, Heng Fang almost instinctively threw out the 2 short spears in his hand. Zhao Fan's eyes turned red as he kicked off the ground and charged forward. A short spear sliced past him, and the other short spear was blocked by the crescent saber in his hand. Heng Fang immediately retreated after throwing out the 2 short spears. As he retreated, he took out the 2 lance pieces on his back and connected them together with a twist. Clang! Heng Fang's lance blocked the crescent saber's mighty strike, but the might of this strike still made Heng Fang stumble back involuntarily. Die! Zhao Fan didn't hesitate to continue his pursuit. One strike after another. They were like a storm or bolts of lightning that were incomparably ferocious. Heng Fang was suppressed to the point where he could only work hard to block. Why are his attacks so fierce and his strength so great? Heng Fang found it unbelievable. Lu Chongyuan cultivates giant bear evolution, but the might of his strikes feel inferior to Zhao Fan's saber techniques. Zhao Fan's saber was extremely ferocious and powerful. Furthermore, it was like a tsunami, one strike after another without any rest. 16 consecutive strikes resulted in Heng Fang exposing his core. The 17th strike landed on Heng Fang's chest, it split open his armor and torso. Heng Fang dazedly stood in his spot as his body began to turn ethereal. I lost. Heng Fang found it unbelievable. Zhao Fan watched Heng Fang's ethereal figure vanish, and his young face revealed a hint of regret. I feel like I'm just a little short. I was just a little short of breaking through. The might of this strike can be much greater. In China's official live stream, this battle was also replaying at a slow speed. Zhao Fan delivered 17 consecutive strikes with extreme ferocity, killing Heng Fang after dishing out one strike after another. Zhao Fan is only 18 this year. He only started learning martial arts after sitting for the college entrance examination, when the virtual world opened up. Lu Xian exclaimed in surprise, he's growing too quickly. It feels like he will be much stronger in a few days. 7 or 8 days ago, Fairy Wang personally came up with China's expert rankings and designated Zhao Fan as number 1 in the 3rd tier. However, I think Zhao Fan has improved too much in 7 or 8 days. He's now ranked at the forefront of the 2nd tier. Too strong. I also started practicing after the virtual world's launch. Why am I still a Silver Moon rookie? The difference between people is too great. How can he be that strong after just slightly over a month in the virtual world? In expert tracking, they interviewed Zhao Fan, his relatives and friends, and his classmates. He has indeed never practiced before. Countless comments flooded the comments section, exclaiming in surprise at this 18-year-old genius. In the modern city map, both teams had rendezvoused. Heng Fang was killed in a 1-on-1 battle against Zhao Fan. Su Jingming, Wang Yi, Yang Qingxua, and Lu Chongyuan were very surprised. Zhao Fan's growth is indeed fast, Wang Yi nodded and said. We're now fighting 4 against 5. Thankfully. Although Zhang Feng isn't dead, he doesn't have much strength left. Lu Chongyuan nodded. We have to be careful of Zhao Fan next. Tai Lianyan is the one we need to be careful of the most, Yang Qing said. Senior brother Tai Lianyan is, after all, one of the 3 great martial arts legends in China. He was once on par with Lu Hai and Lei Yunfang. His strength might be much more terrifying than that of Zhao Fan. I'll deal with Tai Lianyan, you guys try to deal with the others first, Su Jingming said. With Sister Yi's looming threat, the two of us still have some confidence, Lu Chongyuan said. A terrifying sharpshooter could make the other party hold back at all times to prevent the sharpshooter from dealing a successful hit. I also want to test how powerful this Zhao Fan is. Yan Qingshua cultivated Shadow Leopard evolution and was known for his speed and agility. He was confident in holding back opponents who were stronger than him. They're approaching. Wang Yi looked out the window and saw the 5 people rapidly advancing. As the team's vanguard, Tai Lianyun held his shield and saber while Zhang Qing held his dual shields. Zhao Fan and Zhang Feng followed behind, followed by Sun Li. Let's go. Su Jingming, Yang Qingshua, and Lu Chongyuan quickly went downstairs and arrived on the street. Enter the shops, we will only be sitting ducks on the street. Tai Lianyun saw this from afar, but he wasn't settling on the battlefield Su Jingming and the others had decided on. Let's find Wang Yi and get rid of her. After Tai Lianyun gave the order, the team quickly advanced. They turned a corner and ignored Su Jingming and the others before entering the store. How cautious. Su Jingming looked up when he saw this. Sister Yi, they entered the shops. Wang Yi, who had appeared on the rooftop, quickly ran with the quiver on her back. She ran to the corner of the rooftop and quietly jumped down, swiftly moving to another building along the street. Captain, Wang Yi has left the store. Sun Li, who was hiding at the back, caught a glimpse of her and immediately reported. She went to the gray residential building beside it. The building by the side doesn't boast a good field of vision. Immediately attack Su Jingming and the others, Tai Lianyun immediately ordered. Wang Yi was a huge threat in the shop due to its wide field of vision, but her threat was much lower in the building beside. As long as the team dodged slightly, it was difficult for Wang Yi to find a chance to attack. Whoosh! 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 The 5 of them quickly rushed over to Su Jingming and the others. Junior brother. Tai Lianyun took the lead. With a shield in one hand and a saber in the other, he charged forward valiantly. Senior brother. Su Jingming held a shield in each hand and looked at his senior brother in anticipation. He had been practicing his footwork these days, and especially after his shield technique broke through, he had vaguely gained an idea about how he should work toward a footwork breakthrough. The force exerted by his feet could be very fast and fierce, and he could reach 50 meters per second in 2 steps. How could he perfectly utilize his footwork? This was the key. I hope you can give me some pressure. Su Jingming took the initiative to welcome him. Whoosh! The saber in Tai Lianyun's hand flashed, and it sliced through the air like it was slicing through water. Su Jingming faintly heard the sound of air being sliced apart before the saber arrived in front of him. Su Jingming blocked with his shield and gently diverted the force. At the same time, he moved about and avoided Tai Lianyun's shield bash. You've really broken through. Tai Lianyun's eyes burned. Senior brother, your saber technique is also extraordinary. Su Jingming was certain that Tai Lianyun's saber technique had broken through, but his shield techniques and physical attributes didn't pose a threat. Tai Lianyun's fighting spirit was high as he executed his shield saber technique. The country has focused on grooming me. The LV-5 shield saber technique deduced from my shield saber technique is extremely exquisite. I've been training hard in the virtual world and in reality. My saber technique has broken through, but my shield technique hasn't. Only by combining the shield and saber can I fuse yin and yang into one and truly achieve perfection, Tai Lianyun thought to himself. Only then can I unleash the might of LV-5 shield saber technique. This junior brother of mine has extraordinary shield techniques, he can completely block my saber. He's a rare opponent. Tai Lianyun displayed the moves in LV-5 shield saber technique. His moves were dazzling as he attacked relentlessly. Su Jingming held his dual shields and blocked as he dodged. My opponent is rare. I hope senior brother can help my footwork break through. An opponent virtualized in the virtual world could have very high strength, speed, and other aspects, but their moves were much less exquisite. They also had very lacking combat intelligence and other traits. True experts could often dish out unexpected moves. While Su Jingming and Tai Lianyun were fighting, Yang Qingxua and Lu Chongyuan were also battling Zhao Fan, Zhang Qing, and Zhang Feng. Sun Li was still in the distance, ready to fire at any moment. Swish! Wang Yi rushed out of the residence and shot out an arrow. Clang! Zhang Qing, who held 2 shields, was already prepared to block the arrow. Swish! 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 Sun Li shot 3 consecutive arrows at Yang Qingxua, who was in a somewhat sorry state. At this moment, Zhao Fan struck again. Bang! Yang Qingxua was sent flying dozens of feet away from the strike. Lu Chongyuan immediately blocked it with his dual shields, and Zhao Fan and Zhang Feng immediately attacked. Although Zhang Feng's abdomen was injured, he could still use a portion of his strength. He still posed a threat. Sun Li is too familiar with our moves. With him watching, it will be a difficult fight, Yang Qingxua said anxiously in the team chat. Pfft! Sun Li's armor-piercing arrow struck Lu Chongyuan in the knee. Although it was fine with the protection of his heavy armor, it broke Lu Chongyuan's pace. Zhao Fan took the opportunity to slash at Lu Chongyuan's leg, causing him to collapse. Swish! 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 Sun Li shot arrows at Yang Qingxua, who was in a sorry state. Wang Yi also shot, but Zhang Qing held 2 shields and protected Zhao Fan and Zhang Feng with all his might. Captain, we can't hold on anymore. Lu Chongyuan collapsed to the ground. Faced with the incoming weapons, he tried his best to protect his head with his shield and anxiously spoke into the team chat. This Zhao Fan is too fierce. Yang Qingxua tried his best to dodge and block the arrows. Su Jingming heard the team chat. The pressure senior brother is giving me isn't enough. Su Jingming was very regretful. His footwork was good enough, but speed didn't determine a LV3 footwork. Forget it. Su Jingming suddenly unleashed his strength. Boom! Boom! Su Jingming's feet seemed to explode with lightning as his speed rapidly increased, leaving Tai Lianyun, who was attacking as he wished, dumbfounded. Su Jingming's current speed far exceeded his, and he couldn't catch up. Hide! Tai Lianyun shouted at the top of his lungs. Zhao Fan, Zhang Feng, Zhang Qing, and Sun Li looked over at the same time and saw a dark red blur charge over. The impact of this speed was like that of a terrifying god. Not good. Zhao Fan and Zhang Feng immediately retreated. Ha! Being in heavy armor, Zhang Qing was the slowest. He immediately raised his dual shields, stabilized his body, and tried to tank the attack. Bang! Su Jingming, who was wearing dark red armor, executed a simple 8 extremities crush shield technique when he arrived in front of Zhang Qing. The shield in his right hand was unstoppable as it carried the high speed impact of his body and struck the heavy armored Zhang Qing. One could ignore the attacks of many weapons when donning heavy armor, but heavy weapons were their nemesis. Su Jingming's crush shield and the explosive strength coming from his advanced evolutionary method made his might unimaginable. Bam! Zhang Qing, who held 2 large shields, was sent flying. His entire body exploded in a bloody mist, his organs already ruptured from the impact. His entire body turned ethereal, and only the 2 large shields tumbled far away. The fleeing Zhao Fan, Zhang Feng, and Sun Li trembled. Even Tai Lianyun, who was about to chase after Su Jingming, felt his legs turn weak. An expert in heavy armor was pulverized. Wow, what the hell is this? Am I seeing things? The viewers exceeding 1 billion in China's official live stream were in an uproar. Countless voices swept through the live stream like a tsunami. However, the dark red, godlike figure on the battlefield was too fast. In 2 steps, he arrived in front of the injured Zhang Feng. Bam! Zhang Feng was sent flying. A bloody mist rose up as he flew back, and his entire body turned ethereal. Countless audience members exclaimed. Another one is gone. This is madness. Su Jingming turned and stared at Zhao Fan. Zhao Fan was like a rabbit that had been eyed by a tiger. He was clearly very strong, but Su Jingming was terrifyingly imposing. After Su Jingming unleashed his full strength, especially the eruption of his fire might, he was even more terrifying than Lu Hai. Boom! 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 Every step was like the eruption of lightning and fire. In just 3 steps, he caught up to Zhao Fan. Zhao Fan gritted his teeth and stopped, intending to block with the saber he flipped out. Bang! The godlike figure charged over and smashed with his shield as though sending the world into a collapse. With a bang, Zhao Fan was sent flying like a cannonball. As a bloody mist rose, he turned ethereal. The archer, Sun Li, who was originally the furthest away, was fast and had long fled. I'll leave Sun Li to the 3 of you. Su Jingming stopped and looked at Tai Lianyan. Yes, Captain. Lu Chongyuan, Yang Qingshua, and Wang Yi were stunned when they stood up. They couldn't help but raise their voice in gusto as they chased after Sun Li. Tai Lianyan's eyes narrowed as he looked at Su Jingming. At this moment, the entire China's official live stream erupted. Countless viewers went crazy. This is Su Jingming. That idiot Fairy Wang, Su Jingming is in the 3rd tier. Oh my god. How is Su Jingming so strong? How can his shield be so terrifying? Su Jingming's tips were like an erupting volcano as they kept rising. Chapter 70. The Formidably Peerless Su Jingming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 70. The formidably peerless Su Jingming. Su Jingming was relatively special to countless people in China. Although his strength had been plummeting in the past month or so, and it was said that his strength was in the 3rd tier of China's experts, Su Jingming was definitely known by virtually everyone. This was because Su Jingming shone the most at China's first divine battle after the virtual world's launch. The popularity of that battle was almost comparable to the Firestarter Cup. The audience back then remembered Su Jingming. They also looked forward to his subsequent performance. However, Su Jingming didn't live stream, so they could only see his fights occasionally through a third party. His strength wasn't as dazzling, so his popularity naturally plummeted. But today, way too awesome. This is what you call a battle. This kind of shield technique is cool. Everyone else is defending, but Su Jingming's shield is just formidably peerless. Formidably peerless. Formidably peerless, Su Jingming. Countless comments flooded in. The audience broke out into goosebumps as their hearts raced with excitement. In the stands. This kid. Lu Hai sat in the stands and watched from afar before laughing. I knew his talent was astonishing. He finally broke through. It's just that his shield techniques and combat methods are completely different from what I taught him. It can even be said to be the complete opposite. A thought surfaced in Lu Hai's mind. Could it be that I taught him wrongly and ended up delaying my disciple? Lu Hai couldn't be blamed, he was the only person who reached LV3 in every aspect after the virtual world's launch. Lu Hai didn't have much to reference and could only teach his best methods to his disciples. A very strong shield technique. Lei Yunfang's eyes lit up in the stands. He has clearly broken through with the evolutionary method as well. I've finally found an opponent. Xiaoqing's senior brother, Team Fairy Dance captain, Zhang Qing, smiled when she saw this scene. This competition is getting more exciting. The stocky Fang Yu sat there in silence as he took in everything. In the modern city combat map. Tai Lianyan looked at Su Jingming in front of him and felt a mountain crushing down on his heart. The pressure made Tai Lianyan go crazy because reason told him that his junior brother was strong. Too strong, so strong that he exceeded the limits of whatever resistance Tai Lianyan could come up with. When the gap reached a certain point, there was no way to fight at all. For example, Zhao Fan was very outstanding, but when Su Jingming struck out with his shield, Zhao Fan was sent flying like a cannonball and turned into nothingness. This was the huge difference in physique and force delivery. "Senior brother, be careful," Su Jingming said. "Be careful." I'm to be careful. Tai Lianyan's willpower, which he had honed over the years, made him feel as if his feet were nailed to the ground. He didn't retreat. "Junior brother, show me your greatest strength," Tai Lianyan said. "Greatest strength." Su Jingming moved his feet. Boom. The explosive force from his stomp was terrifying. Su Jingming, who was wearing dark red armor, turned into a blur once again as though he was descending a mountain. Tai Lianyan had no time to dodge in the face of such terrifying speed. The shield came crashing down, and all Tai Lianyan could do was raise his shield to defend. He put his entire body behind the shield. Bam! The impact sent Tai Lianyan flying like a billiard ball, and he crashed into a residential building's wall and shattered it. Large amounts of gravel crumbled as Tai Lianyan fell into the residence. Su Jingming watched this scene. At his senior brother's level of strength, he couldn't use his full strength against him. You already couldn't withstand a single forward shield smash, Su Jingming thought to himself. Forward shield smash was a very simple move, but Su Jingming's improvement allowed him to move at a terrifying speed. His shield smash was even more so by directing his body's deep-seated strength into an instant eruption of strength. It was a simple move. Even though Tai Lianyan had received the country's grooming and had learned advanced techniques like LV5 shield saber technique, he couldn't fight back. Strength and speed were the true realms. With the same body, greater strength and higher speed could be unleashed. This was what it meant by having greater strength delivery. For example, LV3 spearmanship allowed one to unleash even more terrifying strength and speed when using a spear. LV3 shield techniques allowed one to unleash terrifying strength and speed when using a shield technique. When a person could unleash that much strength with different weapons, it meant that their control over their body was becoming more and more brilliant. When one was sufficiently brilliant, they could unleash a LV3 explosive force just by picking up a weapon. Shield technique. I managed to defend against it. Tai Lianyan climbed out of the rubble, his eyes burning with excitement. Tai Lianyan only had one thought when his junior brother executed forward shield smash. It was like a high-speed train hurtling down at him. He had to defend. His saber technique had reached LV3, which meant that he had reached this level in certain aspects of his body. With this strong thought, the shield in his hand actually erupted with sufficient strength. Although there was still a huge gap between him and Su Jingming, he blocked enough of the impact and deflected most of the force. He didn't die from a single strike. Su Jingming looked at Tai Lianyan. "Junior brother, I have to thank you for helping me make a breakthrough in my shield techniques." Tai Lianyan held a shield in one hand and a saber in the other as he walked out of the wrecked residential building. "I'll let you know the yin and yang might of the shield and saber combination. Even if your physique is stronger, it won't be easy to defeat me." Yin and yang. Su Jingming looked at his senior brother with anticipation in his eyes. "Senior brother, it looks like I'll have to be serious." Tai Lianyan stared at his junior brother. Boom. Su Jingming instantly turned into a dark red blur. This speed again, Tai Lianyan couldn't dodge such terrifying speed and could only tank it head on. Su Jingming only took 2 steps forward, and he was so fast that he produced huge resistance in the air. The moment the dual shields in his hands approached Tai Lianyan, he struck out ferociously. Regardless of what techniques the shield and saber had, with the range of his 2 shields being large enough, all he needed to do was strike. Just as his father had said, he just needed to pounce regardless of the enemy's moves. Su Jingming respected his senior brother very much, so he used 8 extremities tiger pounce. Bam! Tai Lianyan was still sent flying, but he forced himself not to cough out blood. Whoosh! Su Jingming didn't show any mercy, his feet kicked the ground as he charged forward like a bolt of lightning. His speed of advancement was even faster than Tai Lianyan's retreating flight. Tai Lianyan's expression changed. Before he landed, he saw Su Jingming appear in front of him with a leap. Boom! This time, Su Jingming leaped up and raised his right shield high as if he were holding a huge axe. His waist and abdomen were like the axles of his body as he allowed the momentum to carry him. Just by exerting his strength, his right shield turned into a stream of light that cleaved down. Mid-flight, Tai Lianyan could only hold his shield and couldn't deflect the force. He endured the strike head on. With this strike, Tai Lianyan crashed into the ground with a bang. The ground even caved in, producing a huge crater in the concrete. Most of Tai Lianyan's body was trapped in the crater. 8 extremities, mountain cleave. The process of being sent flying was also a buffer. This time, he crashed into the concrete ground. The impact instantly erupted across the concrete ground and Tai Lianyan's body. In an instant, countless bones in Tai Lianyan fractured, and his blood dyed his armor red. He also spat out blood and some bone shards. Junior brother, you're stronger than me now. Tai Lianyan stared at Su Jingming and spoke with difficulty before his body began to turn ethereal. Su Jingming watched this scene. Combining yin and yang won't work either, Su Jingming thought. 8 extremities tiger pounce and mountain cleave was sufficient to finish off senior brother. It looks like I have to fight an opponent who has reached advanced in the evolutionary method to have a good fight. Amazing, Su Jingming, I love you. From now on, I'll be your fanatical fan. Why are Su Jingming's moves so cool? They're even better than Lu Hai and Lei Yinfang's battle. Way too formidable. Countless comments appeared, and countless viewers were won over. Su Jingming's battle was magical. Bam! With a slam of his shield, the enemy turned into nothingness. Even Tai Lianyan turned into nothingness under the 8 extremities tiger pounce and mountain cleave combo. This was a pure and formidable aesthetic. In the modern city map, Su Jingming looked into the distance. Yang Qingxua, Lu Chongyuan, and Wang Yi had already surrounded Sun Li. Sun Li's arm and thigh had been shot. He was leaning against the wall and looking at the 3 people in front of him. Humph, you guys must be feeling smug, huh? Sun Li sneered at Yang Qingxua and Lu Chongyuan. I never expected that the seemingly loyal Su Jingming would be such a vile person. Ha! Wang Yi, Yang Qingxua, and Lu Chongyuan were stunned. Su Jingming is so strong, even his evolutionary method must have broken through a long time ago. Sun Li sneered. He must have broken through a long time ago. He kept it a secret and didn't say a word. He was probably laughing at me when I left the team. If he had disclosed his strength earlier, would I have left the team? He even kept it a secret from his teammates. A vile person like Su Jingming, an arrow instantly penetrated Sun Li's mouth and penetrated his head. Lu Chongyuan and Yang Qingxua glanced at Wang Yi. I really can't stand listening to his nonsense anymore. Wang Yi put down her bow.